So my car is dying. It's in its final days. The transmission is slipping between second and third gear. Don't know how long it's got, but let's treasure the time we have together. I've been listening to Hans Zimmer all day. Just one track from Interstellar, Time. I've just got it on like a 10-hour repeat. I've just been listening to Time all day. It's just on repeat. It's like a 4-minute number, but just beautiful music. Incredibly moving. I mean, is that, oh, whoops. Okay, I mean, do you know that Interstellar soundtrack by Hans Zimmer? It's like, wow. So my car's dying, listening to Hans Zimmer all day. And I saw a video by two old friends, right? Holly Randall and Kevin Blatt, and they're just so authentic, like they speak from their core. They're very powerful communicators. And so they spent about 4 minutes reminiscing about Luke Ford, and I feel like, we survived a plane crash together, right? We're in the porn industry together, and life goes on, and we moved on to bigger and better things. But it's like we were so close. There were no secrets behind us. And I watched this clip, and it's like, do you have a place that is just filled with memories? Just filled with emotional connection, a place? Have you ever gone back to visit that place and it's a ruin? Okay, there's moss and, oh boy, okay, let's see if I can make it. Oh, I did a left turn in front of oncoming traffic and my transmission didn't die. Thank you, Lord. So, have you gone back to visit a place that's filled with memories? A place just filled with emotional resonance. And it's a ruin. There are bits and pieces of the former place, and it's overgrown by moss and weeds, and I mean, that's what it's like revisiting old friendships, right? It's like visiting a ruin. And it wouldn't even necessarily be appropriate to try to rekindle these friendships. Like, much of the time you've just moved on, you got separate priorities, you're different people now, you're leading incompatible lives. All right, you're not gonna have time, interest. It's not gonna work to try to rekindle a lot of your old friendships. But I think the place that has the most emotional resonance for me is Pacific Union College in the Napa Valley. And I was there from 1977 to 1980. And so that's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And I remember I finished the last 6 months of 8th grade staying with friends. My father was called back to Washington, D.C. to defend his heretical beliefs. And I was staying with a friend of the family so I could finish 8th grade with my friends. And I remember getting a phone call from my stepmom in May of 1980. And she said, we're not coming back to Pacific Union College. And it just killed me. Like, I loved Pacific Union College. I loved my life there. And I remember I didn't take it well. I'm Anglo-Saxon, so stiff upper lip and all that. But the lady that I was staying with, she knocked on my door and said, you'll always have friends, you'll always be loved, and all that. But yeah, it was a very emotional evening, realizing that we were never coming back. And so I would go, we eventually moved on. All the places we could have gone, there was talk of us going to England, going back to Australia, and then we settled in Auburn, California, which is about 2.5 hours drive from Pacific Union College. So I'd get back there as often as I can, probably several times a year, and then during the summers. And so before I left in 8th grade, I'd climb these really tall trees kind of outside my, wow, getting emotional here, outside my elementary school. Who says you can't go home again? And I just like climb up to the top through the sticky sap on the trees, and I climb up top and I just look out on Pacific Union College and kind of say goodbye. And then I'd come back in the summer and I'd climb the same tree and I'd look out at Pacific Union College. And so now I'm no longer 13 or 14. Now I'm 16, 17. So I climbed the tree again and I'd look out at Pacific Union College and I'd wonder, like, why isn't this, so emotionally intense to me anymore? The other place that had a tremendous meaning to me was the journalism room, the newspaper room at Placer High School. So I'd always gone to Christian schools through 9th grade, but I heard that the local public school offered a journalism class. In 8th grade, I determined I wanted to be a journalist when I grew up. So I went to register for my classes, and the first thing I did is I ran to the space to register for the journalism class, and I told the journalism advisor, Bob Burge, that I transferred to this school so I could go to journalism class. And so took the journalism class and started on the school newspaper. I wrote controversial articles. I remember one I talked about with a friend, and we were going to collaborate and turn it into a big series on how football players got favorable treatment at the high school. And then suddenly he just completely changed, and he like led the attack on me. And when he was publicly leading the attack on me, back then I wasn't the cool, calm, collected dude that I am now. It was just like so incredibly painful. Like, he was my good friend. It was now like leading the attack, like leading the public humiliation. And then a year later, we became really good friends again, and we never discussed the incident. So I moved on to become the sports editor, news editor, and finally my final year at Placer High School as the editor-in-chief. And I poured a lot into the high school newspaper. I mean, I left an imprint on that high school, for many years to come. And but when we put out the last issue, like that last week of high school, where I used to hang out in that newspaper office, like after school, working on the paper, getting it ready. I remember those last 2 days, I just wanted to hang out in that office all by myself. Just play the radio and just sit there and remember. And when you convert to a new religion, one of the downsides of that is not only will you likely lose many of your family and relative relationships, but you'll lose. You may because it will just instinctively feel to them like you're rejecting them, because you've switched to a new religion. That was a really painful part of converting to Judaism, and then it's kind of realizing that you're losing all your friends. And then you find out that other people didn't see you the way that you saw you. remember reaching out when I was about 23 to, I thought, one of my top 3 friends in high school. He remembered me as an arrogant little turd who always had to argue and was always sure he was right. And he didn't want to be friends. And it's like, wow, this is my best friend. Like, what happened? Or, a lot of friends, like a lot of things are a time and place. Like at a time and a place, you will be good friends. I mean, you won't have secrets. You'll be really close. Time, circumstance, place changes, and it's no longer the basis for friendship anymore. I mean, and that's just how it is. It's just how it is. So I've been lucky to hold on to some friends from childhood. And one bloke I see every year, he comes through from Australia. We have lunch or dinner, go for a long walk. But friendships usually need support. Like helps if you're in the same religion or the same tribe, in the same place. It helps if you're in like similar occupations. Because otherwise, like, you can be like this, then you change occupation, you leave a field, you leave a place, you leave a religion, you leave a tribe, and the friendship just doesn't have the support that it needs to be a functioning friendship. Or I became an online personality, and some friends from earlier in my life just didn't feel safe speaking to me. That, like, here I am pouring my heart out on YouTube and on my blog, and it's like, ooh, that's kind of weird. I got a wife, I got kids, I got a mortgage, I got a respectable job. I can't be involved in that. Remember, I had this great roommate at UCLA. He was just, a great guy. And he went on to be a big success, and I remember reaching out to him. Didn't hear back, but the guy's like got a very responsible, respectable position, married, children, and I'm sure he remembers me as kind of a weird, eccentric dude, and he just didn't want a part of it. Or wow, more friends that I reached out to, like other good friends from my teenage years, and I called them, emailed them, didn't hear back. I mean, that's when we had like the Seventh-day Adventist Church in common, like our parents worked together. But now times have changed, and he's a lawyer, and the other bloke's a doctor, and that's it. And I was kind of hoping, like, when my dad died, that I'd hear from him. But that didn't happen. But one really nice thing when my dad died a little over 2 weeks ago was that I did hear from a lot of people from my past. It was a beautiful thing. Kind of weird. So my dad died over 2 weeks ago, but it was about a week ago that my own father unfriended me on Facebook. So, like 10 days after he died, dear old dad unfriended me on Facebook. Not just unfriended me, he blocked me. My own father blocked me on Facebook. So obviously someone else is operating his Facebook account, but I was like really enjoying keeping up with all the tributes to my father. And then boom, I got blocked from my own dad's Facebook account. And I remember a few years ago, people saying, look, why aren't you friends with your mother on Facebook? I said, she unfriended me. That has nothing to do with these are bad people, they did wrong by me, poor me. Has nothing to do with that. It's just when you pour your heart out on YouTube and on a blog, it's going to discomfort people. They're going to need to distance themselves for their own feeling of psychic safety. And I mean, that's their life, that's their experience. They're not bad for needing to create some distance from this eccentric guy who keeps pouring his heart out. But yeah, it's kind of weird that 10 days after my father died, he blocked me on Facebook. Dear old dad. Then went through a phase about 2011 to 2013 where I was kind of doing the same thing I'm doing now on YouTube, but I just did it with kind of outrageous Facebook updates. And yeah, that's when my stepmother unfriended me on Facebook, because I can respect that. Like, I was posting a lot of like challenging, disturbing, or just plain weird stuff. So, right, you know, I have a right to be me, but then other people have a right to be them and to protect themselves from general weirdness or just uncomfortable opinions or just disturbing or offensive remarks. Like, I've offended people throughout my life, so I'm usually pretty willing to share my opinions, share my perspectives. I love doing that, but of course it comes at a cost to many of my social connections. People get offended, hurt, or just feel unsafe, or just run a distance. So that's the price for being outspoken and offensive as I am. So I want to work on my monotone voice. I've been doing some research on that. I'd love to have a musical, rhythmic quality to my speech that Kevin Michael Grace has. So I've booked myself some lessons with a voice therapist, and I'm going to overcome my monotone voice. I'm going to learn how to communicate. I'm going to learn how to connect. I'm going to develop Donald Trump style powerful body language communication. Right? That's what politicians, they always put their gestures here in this box in front of them. They're not way over here. So I'm going to learn that. I'm going to overcome my monotone, droning, tired voice, which strangled my radio career when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It often just sounded like I was drowning on the air. So I'd have to get the microphone so close to my mouth because I couldn't project my voice. And then you could hear like my tongue moving around in